Good afternoon and welcome to another Super Secret Project sketch. This is Eric Whalen from Super Secret Project X, and practice pays off. I think I've done that multiple times in a row now. Doing good. Been a good boy. All right, today, I've been watching a lot of Popeye lately. We've got Boomerang, and I decided to go through and because it was weird when I was a little kid. I remember loving Popeye, then I remembered hating Popeye. And I thought that was weird, so I went back through and rewatched it. As it turns out, the black and white Popeyes are dreaded, and then they started. It was like, what's this garbage? How really funny Olive Oil was. That way, but she got into a lot of fights in the cartoons, and she was really, really funny.
The original comic that the show was based off of, she was the main character, and she was a flapper and also a scrapper. Yes. She was a lot more feisty and less
and there's a bunch of different versions of her, even in black and white. They had like 2 or 3 Olive Oils. You know, one of which was the always. I mean, with him, like they're both beating up Bluto. It was just funny. I mean, really funny. The ones where she would tell where her loyalty, that was much, though those were interesting. Like the ones where it is, I think, a very really. The stream on here is good.
It's and it was buffering a bit. I'm checking to see if it's the same thing on
Twitch seems to do that.
I'm checking some stuff and it's some things making sure being weird. It actually is Twitch.
It does.
Weird.
You know, I'm kind of wanting us to go back to original Popeye. I quite get, or there's a few jokes. That wonderful old black and white style. And I'm not even going to say, and it is there's something wonderful about it. It's so damn crazy, and it's just so. Oh well, we do what we can. But yeah, so anyways, I've drawn Popeye before, and the funny thing was I just was like, yeah, I'll draw Popeye, I like the design, blah, 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 and I hadn't really rewatched a ton of Popeye as an adult. Now I've hit the color, and this is unwatchable. They did the whole make it safe for the kids, nobody hit each other anymore, there was no fights, the humor was so much closer to like, and nothing against Warner Brothers, but it was closer to that.
It gets a little more years of Olive not deciding on who she abandons Popeye no matter how good he is to her, or Bluto basically trying to take Olive Oil and trying to be nice here.
Well, the funny thing is that's the stereotype. When I watched it, it was quite clear that they would have a number of them that would have something like that happen, and then it didn't go more than 6-7 episodes, and then they would evolve the joke. And so you could go through the whole thing, and there was really like evolutions. Now, there was a bunch of butt whooping and chop smacking going on and stuff, but it really had kind of, and I mean an interesting evolution. There was real points in time where they did clever, changed up their whole shtick from time to time, and it was really pretty funny. You know, they really did some interesting stuff with it, and I just ended up going like, then the color stuff came in, and what the funny thing was the last black and white was super interesting. It was Popeye animating his own adventure, and it was really crazy and messed up and fun and very different and clever, and Then the next ones were like with the blue background, the AAP, and and the full color Popeyes little thing you're doing there. Oh, that's a nice little. But they weren't as funny. They weren't. They lacked a lot of personality.
Well, those are the ones that they started trying to make Olive more feminine. They shrank her feet size. They made her. Gave her bangs and made her more dependent on Popeye and Bluto and all.
Which was stupid because the original version of her, which you think the further you go back, the more it would be like the guys telling the girls what to do or whatever. It was really the older version of Olive Oil, on average, was more female empowered than the new colored versions were. And now, admittedly, she was also getting beaten up when she was girling. I'm kind of going like, that's not the stereotype. The stereotype is the damsel in distress stuff. But the damsel in distress stuff happened like in the 60s and 70s and stuff, like the 30s, 40s, and 50s. She was totally like, kind of awesome, actually, with a handful of episodes that she wasn't so strong in. But I mean, there was one of my favorite ones is she goes in and Popeye tells her to go get a self-defense course, and he's in there like this hot boxing lady that keeps hitting on Popeye, and eventually Olive Oil makes a fool of herself trying to learn how to box, and the boxing lady ends up like really hitting on Popeye and stuff, and he's kind of falling for it and yada yada, and finally she just goes finish, absolutely floors her, and then you're beating him for looking at the other lady, and that's how the episode ended. I was laughing so hard, and you just end up going like, actually, this is a lot cooler than interesting. And
which was funny because they did attempt the what should say attempt they actually Popeye meets it, and they did the whole technical the way they did
now did Disney. It was really nicely done.
Well, that was weird.
Yeah, there's something going on.
Yeah, the screen buffered fast motion for like 3 seconds.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. They said that it might be a little bit past by now.
I don't know about it. We'll get it figured out. Yeah. But yeah, no, started like stressy. A lot of the color stuff is that way.
Not so great by just completely abandoning Popeye, going to Bluto, and then cries for Popeye.
Versions of her, they all look the same, but they act very different.
Not care for, because I literally
because she was a jerk.
They're like, crap or get off the pot. Either go with Popeye or go with Bluto, or leave them both alone because you're point of the show and all. But it just drove me crazy to see a loyal dude like Popeye. He wasn't perfect, but he was loyal.
Well, the thing was the one where he and Olive Oil just so funny. I mean, I was legitimately just really, really hard, and I was like, oh, that's great, because it looks like she's about to take him back in and be all like, I got and back, blah blah blah, and then she's just like, and just starts beating the crap out of him.
Apparently, the history behind Thimble Theater, 19 by Seeger. And the Thimble Theater was renamed after Popeye because he became more popular, or the most popular character.
He's a fun character.
And let's see, and they say she's one of the most recognizable female cartoon characters in the world. Olive was created by E.C. Seeger and was said to have been inspired by real-life Chester, Illinois local Dora Pascal. Olive would make her debut in the first strip of Thimble Theater, dated December 19th, 1919, and she continued to be a main character for the 9 years that predated Popeye's introduction in January 1929. Wow. So she was a character, So
I've never seen any of the original comics.
This is so weird. All right, and we're talking about this next month, December 19th. She was going to be 100 years old on December 19, 1919. of December 19, 2019. So she'll be 100 years old on 19 of 1919, which I thought was kind of funny.
Wow.
If you're a numerology for it, I don't know, but I just thought I thought that was really funny. But yeah, she's gonna be 100 years old next month. That's kind of crazy, and no one talks about her like that. Wow.
Well, she's a really old character, and even when I the color cartoons, I think even back, I was kind of like, oh, Bugs Bunny's better than this. I'd rather watch that.
Mm-hmm.
I just ended up kind of not caring for Popeye after a while, and I'm really glad animation. Just super hilarious, and what's great is it evolved the joke again, and then they kind of keep on evolving the joke, and unfortunately they evolved the joke, and this is going to sound probably awful to some people, but they evolved it away from violence. And violence is what made it funny. Because it was like, it's to poor people or whatever, but the stereotype very clearly people and their stuff doesn't look so hot.
Yeah.
And their places are all really poor and downtrodden. And that's what I was like, when I started they had very little money, and it didn't stay with that, is they were like real out in the Depression era, or they have stuff where they're punning physical humor and blah blah blah, and hey, how's it going? We got somebody. I got a hello.
No.
Got ourselves a hello.
Is that Twitch?
We are doing olive oil today. We're just talking about how I started rewatching the old black and white Popeyes on Boomerang. Awesome show. You also have to be acclimated to old black and white cartoons, because if you're into the new stuff and then look at the old stuff, culture shock. But no, just really funny. Like I could not stop laughing at olive oil. Like Popeye, Bluto, yes, funny. Popeye has some funny lines. Bluto, not so much, but when he's funny, he can be. But olive oil, I just could not stop laughing at olive oil.
Okay, here's I'm reading the Popeye fandom wiki, which is actually really cool. All right, let's see, character development, person history. Olive was created by E.C. Seeger and was said to have been inspired by, okay, we know that already. In the strip, as written by Seeger, Olive was something of a coy flapper whose extremely thin build lent itself well to the fashions of the time. Her long black hair was usually rolled in a neat bun like her mother's. After Olive's run in the original Thimble Theater, she would return as a main character in the 1948 comic book series by E.C. Seeger's assistant Bud Sadendorf, who combined elements from both the original Thimble Theater and the Fleischer Studios cartoons. Her comic book appearances would continue for decades until the titles end in 1984. Wow, wasn't that long, huh? As Popeye's popularity produced a long run on Thimble Theater due to the short length of the shorts. Olive would be made one of the main characters of the animated shorts alongside Popeye, Bluto, and occasionally Wimpy. The voice for Olive Oil was created by character actress Mae Questrell, who also voiced Betty Boop and other characters.
Yes.
Questrell styled Olive Oil's voice and mannerisms after Zasu Pitts, including the catchphrase, "Oh dear."
What is the name?
Zasu, capital Z-A, capital S-U, Pitts, P-I-T-T-S. I've never heard
What
of
a
it.
name!
And I'll look her
You
up
almost think olive oil should be named that.
The first few cartoons, however, featured Bonnie Poe as the voice of Olive Oil. In 1938, Margie Hines took over the voice of Olive Oil, starting with the cartoon Bulldozing the Bull. In the cartoon, she would usually be Popeye's sweetheart, or a girl that both Popeye and Bluto were trying to impress. Other times, she would help...
Or Bluto just square out, go after, and
But other times, she would help take care of a baby named Little Sweet Pea. It is not made clear in Fleischer's continuity if Sweet Pea is Olive's biological or adopted son. In the comics,
you couldn't tell.
In the comics, Sweet Pea was a foundling under Popeye's care. Later sources, mostly in the cartoon series, say that Sweet Pea is Olive Oil's cousin or nephew that she has to take care of from time to time. Because of the episodic nature of the shorts, Olive's character was severely limited to only serving as a damsel in distress who was often kidnapped by Bluto and saved by Popeye. However,
with some exceptions, though.
However, some shorts did show her as being as much of a scrapper as in Thimble Theater.
And those are the best ones.
Yeah.
I love watching Olive Oil just beat the tar out of somebody. It's actually funnier than watching Popeye do it. Because it's like noodles with sledgehammers for hands and feet at the end, just like whipping the dude, and they're just like, oh, it's so funny. It's especially when she like hits somebody and her arm like wraps all the way around their neck and then hits him in the side of the face. It's so ridiculous, and I just every single time she did something like that, I just could not stop laughing.
Yeah, she is the epitome of the what they call the rubber hose animation or rubber,
It's
hose characters. Yeah.
I actually want to see a fighting game with Olive Oil and Popeye as fighting characters. Because after getting done with the black and whites, I just was going like, I'd play them. Forget all my favorite old characters I used to play in fighting games. I will play Popeye or Olive Oil. Olive Oil probably more specifically because she's just really funny. And the other person would have a hard time fighting her because they would just be giggling stupid, which would...
When she gets smacked, you say, "Oh dear."
Oh my. Which is funny. She's in a way, she's kind of, not exactly, but she reminds me of like the earliest incarnation of Pearl from Steven Universe.
Yeah.
Not exactly, but I can kind of see how maybe somebody in the meetings when they were developing the characters, somebody said, maybe a little bit more like Olive Oil, because you can kind of see the build and in the persnickety kind of, they're similar. They're not the same, but they're similar in a way.
That'll be a question if we ever were to meet Rebecca Sugar.
That would be a cool question.
That was an inspiration of some sort. All right, by the looks of it, I think we finally got the buffering out, and so things are starting to smooth out now.
Oh,
so,
good.
Yeah.
I am wanting a cable service that doesn't screw with us.
I think with the stuff that we had to get done earlier, it caused a little bit of a hiccup, and they said it was going to be a bit of a hiccup, and I think we're now past the hiccup stage.
Well, good, because hiccups are bad.
Yeah.
As my wisdom for today.
There you go.
Eric says, hiccups are bad. And so saideth the nerd in the Hawaiian shirt. Hiccathups are bad. Oh, wait. Nope, I gotta go in and I gotta give her a missing tooth.
Oh, is she going to be part of the crazed line?
Oh, I don't know yet. But what I do know is she was the best when she was... And this is going to sound awful. I know this is going to sound awful. It always sounds awful when you say these words. But in the case of this cartoon, it was amazing because Olive Oil and everyone got into fights with everybody. So everyone was smacking everyone around. When Olive Oil was just getting smacked around... When the lady was getting smacked around and, black eyes and all that sort of stuff, and then she'd come back and just start, like, pounding Bluto or whatever, I couldn't help it. There's something primal in me. I can't stop laughing when that's happening. And so I just end up going, like, just imagining this. She's, like, 35 pounds, like, 6'8", And she's just scrapping with like a 900-pound gorilla of a sailor, and it's just so funny. I realize some people are going like, you shouldn't show women in cartoons being hit. I'm going like, I understand where you're coming from. This is still really funny though, and I can't help it. It just is. It's just really funny to watch.
Once again, we're dealing with something that was, the time period was way, way different.
No, I get that.
And even with the Popeye cartoons, they actually did have some moral stuff of don't hit women, don't
spank. Even they had even don't spank kids episodes.
Yeah, they had don't abuse animals, several episodes of don't abuse animals.
After they had episodes of Popeye beating the crap out of an entire jungle, but...
Well, that was... Like
they were like evil jerk animals.
That was the Sinbad episode, so they had to have.
No, they had another one. With a particularly ornery elephant and a very rapey ape.
Oh yeah, that was the early ones, yeah.
It's just like I just ended up going like, oh wow, no, I'm gonna let it go. It's a time period that's allowed. But I could definitely, it's like we had friends over last night. We were just watching cartoons. And they're both of which, one of which was in their 20s and one of which was in their 30s, so different generation than me. And they got to a couple of the stuff, and I'm not saying racist jokes are cool, I'm not, but I'm more acclimated to it because I'm older and I used to see it and stuff more. And some of that stuff popped up into Popeye, and both of them went, oh, and I'm like, oh, right, you guys don't have quite the same skin that our generation has. I mean, we never thought it was cool, but they were like, I mean, they were repelled, and I was going like, oh, right, no, it's good to be repelled. It's good, but it's just the reaction was funny, because I was like, oh, right, you guys react differently than we do.
Well, not only that, but it's the fact that we've seen this so many times. We've seen it so many,
exactly, that's what I mean about it.
We've kind of gotten just used to it, unfortunately.
Well, it's not used to it, is there's an understanding.
It's the cartoon wise. Yeah,
it's the cartoon, yeah.
We saw it, it was what it was, and is what it is, and we saw it as part of animated entertainment. It's like, yeah, no way you're going to do that stuff nowadays without, not without it being like super comically explained and all. I mean,
well, and I actually think that there's a certain level of history should not be covered up. I don't believe it should be covered up. Understood, studied, blah, 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 don't cover it up. So when I look at stuff like that, I watch stuff from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s going like, I get it. You know, I totally get it. I'm just totally going like, I'm not going to get angry at a 60s or 50s cartoon that had racist humor in it, because I knew what I was in for when I turned on a cartoon from that time period. I just end up going like, more on a history level, like, oh, fascinating. Wow, what was that like, you know, in the theater? And, you know, how many people in the theater actually thought that was cool? Like, there's an episode of Johnny Quest where the most racist thing in Johnny Quest was specifically one episode, and I looked at that episode and went, that couldn't have been cool in the 60s. Going like, man, really? Yeah, but then the rest of Johnny Quest was like, actually, to be honest, not that bad, but it was like that one episode. And Race Bannon was like super ticked off at these, like, you know, South American Indian characters. I'm like, all right, he's really mad, but I mean, I in theory get it, but still, race, no. Racist Bannon, no, bud. Too far. The funny thing is later on, in the Duck Dodgers cartoon, Daffy says the exact same line, which is so funny, and like nobody thought about it because he wasn't saying it to like, you know, specifically, you know, like specifically anybody. So like this really racist thing comes out of Daffy Duck's mouth, but since it's not pointed at anybody, nobody like thought about it, you know. Right. And I was watching, I'm like, that's the line from Johnny Quest, you know. Oh crap! Jesus. Oh man. Oh my. Gotta give her that weird. I guess she had like a sweater kind of thing going on. I'm trying to. That's gotta be a sweater.
From what the explanation was, I think it was like either a long sweater or blouse of some sort, and they said that her I always thought she had a skirt, but apparently it was a dress with like a sweater or a blouse covering it.
Oh, I can see that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I can see that. No, it's her build is so funny. She is so skinny.
And one of the comments in what I was reading, the fandom entry here, they were saying that let's see, one of the comments was Olive's design was changed quite a bit when it went to the other studios. Now being given more hair, smaller feet, wider eyes, and a more feminine face.
She didn't look as cool.
Likely asked to try making her a more attractive prize for suitors to fight
over.
No,
she's kind of supposed to be ugly.
But and the one before that says, Olive Oil has her hair in a bun and is tall and skinny with oversized feet, making viewers often wonder why so many men find her appealing and are willing to violence for her.
I always ended up, even as a kid, going like, and I'm not judging this body type, because we have one lady at work that, and I'm not saying exactly this, but she's very super, super thin. And probably the thinnest I've ever seen. And I'm like, actually, I find her to be very attractive. So I'm not judging this. I'm saying specifically Olive Oil. I think was designed to just be like as unpleasant looking as Popeye and Bluto. That's what was so funny about the three of them. None of them were attractive. I think that's cool because like in an age today, with especially ever since anime came in and such, but I mean American animation for years made attractive characters. You know, it's kind of awesome having unattractive characters.
Yeah, this was the 1952 redesign of her. That was the.
Yeah, that's it. I thought. There we go. Whoop. I mean, this is a cute design. I found this design earlier when I was looking for her character sheet. This is a good design.
Yeah, that was the damsel in distress design.
That was the damsel in distress.
The AAP, as an Associated Artists Production or something like that.
Yeah, they did like all the. But like for example, like I really love like this like little like bloop of hair at the top. That's cute, but it's also really not Olive Oil. I liked Olive Oil because she was a weird combination of cute one minute and homely the next.
Excuse me, sorry.
And even Popeye at moments was like, I don't want to kiss you.
Yeah.
As cruel as that is, it was funny. And I know how mean that sounds, but everything is so sterilized to be nice to everybody these days that there's like whole kinds of humor where it's like, don't do that humor anymore. And I'm totally going like, oh, but it was funny. You know, it's like, I'm not the greatest looking dude. That can be used in humor. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with going like I ain't a supermodel, so I can have fun with that. I'm not the greatest looking dude, so I'm going like, so why should every character be like these perfectly attractive? And that was the great thing about Olive Oil in those days is there's moments where she was kind of cute, but most of the time she was weird and unattractive and violent.
Or they'd make her into different ethnicities that mainly like being either like the exotic jungle girl or the or Hispanic.
And sometimes those versions of her were kind of cool.
Yeah, the one jungle girl version was it the Conga or Congo one?
No, wasn't that this the Pacific Islander version?
Yeah,
that was it.
It was Popeye's dream. It turned out to be.
Yeah, he was having an Islander girl fantasy, and it was like she was like a Islander jungle goddess kind of thing,
and the pet monkey. And
the pet monkey.
They were trying to chase after her, and she just kept foiling them. And
oh yeah, she would make a fool of Popeye and Bluto over and over again. It was funny. It was so funny.
I love she was like chunky coconuts in them with her feet.
Oh yeah, she was just pelting them with coconuts repeatedly. It was so funny.
I'm looking at the the Associated Artists Production. Yeah, those logos. Apparently, they were a short-lived company. Associated Artists Productions lived a legacy of being best known as the copyright owner of Popeye and the color pre-1948 Looney Tunes and Merry Melody shorts. So they actually had the copyright to those before 1948, the color version.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Respectively, as their logos and trademarks were present at the beginning of each short, 60mm Eastman color prints syndicated for the television in the 60s. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Gonna give her some eyelashes. That won't cute her up too much, but it will make her a little bit more feminine. Because they did show her with some eyelashes every once in a while.
Let's see. They're talking about.
It's so funny when you go back and you look at history of this stuff. That's when people go like, well, what kind of a fan are you? And they go, are you an anime fan? Are you a brony? Are you a blah, blah, blah? I'm like, no.
I like everything. Mostly.
I like the good stuff.
Yeah.
And the good stuff comes from all decades, all countries, all studios. You just have to find it. And I'm glad I went back and rewatched Popeye because I know for a fact in the future I'm going to go back and I'm going to do it again. I think I need to go in and finally finish up Duck Dodgers, though.
Yeah.
Because I remember we got partway through that, and I was laughing so hard.
Well, Duck Dodgers, the Looney Tunes show.
Yeah, the Looney Tunes show we need to finish up.
There's a lot of stuff that we still haven't finished up yet. So.
Well, we finally did get all of regular show and Adventure Time out of the way. I'm pretty proud of that. That was a lot.
Yeah, I had to actually go online and rewatch and then go read through all the stuff because there was stuff there. I'm like, okay, I want to see exactly with regular show, how did everyone go and what happened because they did it so quick. It's like, okay, let me read and see exactly what happened with everybody. And
Well, we still didn't actually go to the very last bit, which is the movie
Yeah.
that followed the whole thing. So I've been kind of saving that. Um, but yeah, no, it's there's just so much out there, and it's easy to get stuck on one thing as your thing. I did that when I was younger, and then I just found out I really prefer variety. It's like I'll get onto an anime kick for a while and get onto all the stuff that I've kind of missed and yada yada, and then I'll be like, man, okay, I'm kind of done for a bit, you know. It was good. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, kind of done for a bit.
well, yeah, I mean, it's like with anything, you watch it too much and you just kind of get bored of it after a while.
Yeah.
I mean, for those people who like the same thing over, that's cool, no problem. But like, yeah, I would rather watch a few things and watch something else, and then come back to something else and watch something else again, and that way I don't get bored of it. And plus, anyway, you get to savor it a bit longer for when it does end.
Well, the funny thing is I've been noticing this is I'll hear like somebody like complain about all the new Marvel movies. Oh, these superhero movies, blah blah blah, and then the next thing out of their mouth is, there wasn't enough Jedi in the current Star Wars movies. I go like, I'm sorry, I don't see much of a difference between superheroes and superheroes. I don't care if one wears capes and the other one are laser space samurai. They're all superheroes. So to me, I'm just going like, so I just would rather be like, dude, I'm gonna go watch a thing and have fun with the thing, and and I guess I'm just, my ego or something isn't attached to what I'm watching.
Well, and for a lot of people, it's unfortunate. It's just like you said, it's the ego. It's their way of feeling superior, and especially when it comes to a lot of sci-fi versus stuff, a lot of those people want to feel superior and want to feel
Which is
smarter.
weird. It's like you're just a doofus in a basement like the rest of us.
Enjoy what you love.
Yeah,
Stop
just have
trying
fun.
Stop trying to downgrade people for something that they like. It's like as the comic meme goes, let people enjoy things. Like you don't have to comment on every single thing that you don't like, because if you don't like it, then don't comment on it.
Your hate and dislike is not helpful. It's just like meh. It's like, for example, you don't like Popeye. Okay, then in the comments, who cares? No, I mean, no, seriously, no offense, but it's just like, oh, you guys want to spend all this time talking about Popeye and drawing olive oil. Did you know that I don't like that? I'm like, then you're really not part of the conversation, are you? I don't care.
Well, that's perfectly fine. You have every right.
Yeah, no,
to
you
leave.
do, but why spread it?
That's what I'm saying. You have every right to leave the conversation.
Yeah, no, you do. You have every right just to kind of keep it to yourself, because who cares? Why are you, going in and ruining other people's stuff?
Yeah, I've never understood that thought of just like, because I've seen that of course, online. You're going to see it all the time. But like on Twitter, there'll be people talking about animated show or something like that. Like, oh yeah, this here, and what about this part? And then several people are coming, well, this is stupid. I don't understand why you guys like it. And they're like,
then why are you talking?
This is a thread talking about the appreciation and the like of the show. Why are you here?
Why are you here if you don't like it? I don't.
Like, if you want to be that contrarian about something, then go outside and stand in traffic and yell about how you don't like red lights. Like, just please, for the sake of everybody, just go do something else that we don't care about. Because honestly,
Yeah,
if you
I don't
care
get it.
about it, yeah.
I just don't understand. It's like I may have done it when I was younger. Maybe it's just part of more of a younger mentality. Like maybe I was doing it when I was younger. I may have been.
The people I've seen are like they're adults who've been doing this stuff, and again, I think it's just that internet mentality of people can say crap without getting punched in the face.
People can.
People can say stuff without getting punched in the face.
Oh.
Yeah.
The words didn't line up correctly in my head.
That's okay. Well, the saying goes like like what was it? What did I say last week? Like some of y'all some of y'all talk on the internet like you haven't been punched in the face before. And that's exactly what it is. Like people can say crap and not get in trouble for it in a sense because what's going to happen to them other than people yelling at them and them going, ha ha, look at the trouble I caused. And it's like,
I would rather just not make trouble. I'm like, there's enough in the world as is that I don't need to be adding to it.
well, I don't get it because these same people will get super like angry if somebody did that to them when they were talking about their stuff. So it's like, why do it to somebody else? Like, let people enjoy things.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
It's like, for example, and I'm just simply saying this because it's true, but I could not care less about professional sports. It just means nothing to me. As a matter of fact, when I was younger, I hated this stuff. Probably because of all the bullies that beat me up, most likely. But why should I walk into a conversation, people are talking about the big game or whatever, then I come in and just fart on their conversation?
Yeah.
What's the point?
Especially,
I mean, if they ask, I'll tell them the truth, but it's like, not really into it, guys, sorry.
Yeah, I've never understood people who not only come into a conversation angry about the subject, but they don't even know about the subject.
Oh yeah, like if you don't even know about it, why are you opening your mouth?
Yeah, and like, because like there's always people when they're talking about animated stuff or so, and somebody always comes in, well, I hate it, it's stupid. And somebody asks them, well, have you ever watched it? No, I don't watch this stupid stuff. So why do you like it?
Why are you talking
how,
about it?
How can you know you don't like it if you've never even watched it before?
Well, not only that, but doubled on top of it, then why are you even talking about it?
Yeah.
I hate French automobiles from 1913. Well, I don't know anything about French automobiles from what... nothing. I know. Why would I even open my mouth at that point?
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like I have opinions. It's like I'm not a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, but I'll come straight out and say I thought Dragon Ball was really fun. Mm-hmm. I don't understand Dragon Ball Z at all. I think it's just super dull. Mm-hmm. But if people like it, then let them like it. If there's people are talking about Dragon Ball Z, then typically if they want me to criticize, I will. But I'll typically just say I prefer Dragon Ball, blah, 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 and just kind of, be done with it. Because I think Dragon Ball was excellent. I think Dragon Ball Z is a confusing continuation. Like, how did that come from as something as cool as Dragon Ball? But, whatever. You like it, you like it. That's your thing. That's fine.
Even along with that, because the fact that you've seen... And you've seen and you've experienced, you've been a part of a lot of the culture that comes from, as far as like the anime and animation itself, genre. You have an informed opinion about it. I mean, you've watched it, you've seen it. You can criticize it and talk about it, and come about it not only from opinion, not only from technical opinions, but actually also from actual, or I guess informed opinions, because you know about this stuff, and so it's like you're coming from an area of actual knowledge.
Well, it's I have criticisms that I think are valid, but I don't want to sit there and ruin people's times. Fun, isn't she?
Yeah.
It is like, for example, if I was to criticize Dragon Ball, I'm not criticizing the fans. I'll just be like, this whole, power level 10,000, power level 20. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a number that keeps getting higher and has nothing to do with the story. And then I end up going like, I'm a story and character guy, so I don't care about just some number that keeps getting higher. It means nothing to me. It's called power creep. It just doesn't...
That's where people get angry, because when you criticize something they like, they take it as
like you're attacking them.
You're criticizing them, because that's part of their identity in a sense, because it's something that they grew up with, that either something that helped them out in their time of
oh sure, no, I get that. It's just, but that's a foundation of sand.
Well, and like I said, I understand where people come from because of that aspect, because to me it's like people who criticize Looney Tunes.
Sure.
It's like, and that stuff I grew up with, and it's just like, well, why would you? How in the world do you not like Looney Tunes? And well, I just don't like it. And it's like, okay,
I can see why people wouldn't
yeah,
like it.
yeah.
I don't agree. I like it personally, but
Well,
it's
that's
their
what I'm saying.
right.
Like, for me
They
personally,
can-
if somebody just, well, I don't like it, and it's like, okay, well, explain. I will be generally curious, like, oh, well, why don't you? Because I actually want to hear that explanation because, yeah, I'm curious. And so if somebody comes like, oh, it's just stupid, it's like, well, do you have an actual grounded opinion as to why, other than it's just stupid?
Other than it's just
Yeah,
stupid,
and it's like,
yeah.
like I said, when people, back to my original point though, it's like, if people criticize it, like I said, I can understand because I'm just like, oh, well.
I think there's criticisms.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's something that I grew up with, and that was a big part of my childhood. It's actually basically a part of me in
Sure.
a sense. And so for me, I don't want to say I take that as an identity, but it is something that is really close to my heart. And so for people to like, well, I just don't like it, and I'm just like, oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Well,
Okay.
the thing is when you have somebody just basically kind of saying that they don't like it, and it's their reason, and that's the best their reasoning is they just don't like it. Maybe they don't have a real reason.
Mm-hmm.
But it's frustrating in a conversation when you're trying to understand why they don't like something, and the answer is I just don't like it. Then it's like, and it may be a legitimate, they just don't like it, they don't know how to put it into words, but that's frustrating being like, oh, but it happens. So it's like, oh, you don't like it. Okay, then just don't ever deal with it again. That's not like me being a jerk. That's like, well, then just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, Neon Genesis Evangelion, I think, is the most overrated. You know, people love it, and I just go like, it's real meh to me. It's just like, a lot of it's super predictable. There's 1,000 reasons I can give you that I just don't like it, you know.
And nobody wants to hear any of it.
And nobody wants to hear any of it, and
Because
that's
they put-
fine.
They put it up on some weird god tier.
Yeah, it's like on
I
a
don't get
pedestal
that.
or something, and you just go like, okay, whatever. But the thing is, it's my right to have that opinion, and it's their right to have that opinion, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
Well, it's like, yeah, like we were saying, it's like the people who get angry about it, it's like, we're not attacking you, we're just saying we don't like the show.
Yeah,
And
we
if
don't
you-
care for it.
If you take the show that deeply to where it insults you personally, it's like, that's not a me problem, that's a you problem.
I was like, for example, I grew up on G.I. Joe. It's not the greatest show ever. I think it has some fun moments, but I grew up on it. Go ahead and insult it all day. It doesn't matter.
It's still there.
It's still there regardless of what you say about it. I'll go watch He-Man. You don't like He-Man? That's fine.
Yeah.
Because you can say anything you want about it. It doesn't matter. Go ahead. You know, I can't believe that guy doesn't like He-Man. You know, what? That doesn't make any sense.
It's like with you and I, when we've talked about stuff. I mean, the show Pirates of Dark Water. I love that show.
I never cared for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying it's a terrible show. I just have a hard time with pirates in bright pink pants. I just end up watching. I was watching, going like, what is this? You know, it's like,
And I think it was a stylistic comic book choice because it was going back to the old
It
comic
was-
book stuff of the
it was
time.
also the '90s where they power colored stuff, and
Well, I think it was more of a throwback to the old kind of like super colorful adventure comics. of like
might have been
the
both.
60s and 70s and stuff. But yeah, but either way,
Either way,
yeah, I love that show, and I think I have some episodes on like VHS somewhere from like a bootleg thing from one of the anime cons long ago. But
well, and another one is Gargoyles. I tried watching it when it came out. I just never got into it. I just always kind of went, oh, this is kind of neat, but it just never caught me. And other people are like, Gargoyles! They start sweating and getting all tingly. You know, I'm like, oh, cool.
I never know you never cared for that. Oh, you never told me that.
No, I was just always like, oh, neat. I've seen like 3 episodes of it. I remember all of them being very mediocre. And everyone's saying, oh, there were better episodes. I'm like, great. I've never seen them, so I can't do anything about
Yeah,
that.
that was my jam. Like that's one of the reasons why I'm excited for to get the Disney streaming service so I can rewatch all of those again. I mean, and yeah, Yeah, I'm not sure what episodes you saw, but yeah, you probably.
They were super mediocre. I mean, I literally was just like, this is boring.
There was one of my favorites, and this is one of the ones people always talk about, of course. They actually censored this one because it actually showed blood, and it showed one of the main characters. She actually got shot by her own handgun.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that was,
Not that she got shot, but good that they did something different.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a big deal for Disney for that time period. It got censored because people were like, "Oh my gosh, violence, blah blah blah." And it's like, no, she's a cop, and the whole episode actually was a 2 or 3 part episode was showing the dangers of not properly, like, of handgun safety, basically.
Sure, yeah. And honestly, they should do that stuff. That was, even as a kid, it was my criticism of G.I. Joe, that nobody got shot or hurt. And I'm not saying that people should be injured and horrifically this and gory that. I'm just like, no. Kids are watching it. They should understand exactly what guns do. Don't freaking, like, ban firearms. Educate people about them. And then if, then greater, steps have to be taken or whatever, then whatever. But don't sit there and tell kids that, oh, it's kind of like a flashlight. You shine it on people. You're like, no.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Box, you need to start behaving here.
Yeah, the episode was the big guy, Broadway. He loves old detective movies and old, like, noir stuff.
Sure.
So he came out of a movie theater he got stuck in, was watching, and one of the characters had his gun. It was bang bang bang. So he flew over to Elisa's house and to her apartment. And she's like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, and
right
saw
on.
the movie and all that. And so he sees her gun sitting on the table.
Sure.
And he's like, "Oh, cool!" And he picks it up, and she's in the kitchen cooking. And he's like, "Oh," he starts pointing it around and acting out the scene of the movie.
Sure.
And he turned and he goes, and the gun just, BOW! And he's like, "Oh crap!" And he's like, "I'm sorry, Lisa." And he puts it down. "I'm sorry, it's okay." And he's like, looks around. He's like, "Lisa," and he looks around the corner, and she's laying on the floor in a puddle of blood.
See, that right there is that's good writing right there.
Yeah, and because of that, he actually went on this rampage where every single criminal he saw with a gun, he kicked the crap out of them and killed and would smash their guns. "No more guns!" Cracking and just beating the crap out of them because he was so traumatized.
Right on. Anywho,
Yeah.
everyone have yourself a good week, and we will catch you later.
Catch in a couple weeks. Next week is Thanksgiving, so
Next week is Thanksgiving. We will catch you in a few weeks. So Thanksgiving off. I declare.
Everyone have
For
a
everyone.
good holiday.
Tell your boss I said so. I guess. Anywho, catch you guys later.